Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Raphael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Raphael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Good morning, good morning. I am here and I'm waiting for my guest, Gabe. Not sure what happened to Gabe, and he did make a comment that he was going to be on my show at this time. So here we are, just looking for an amazing human being to join us. One of the things that happens, he just replied to me, he's having audio issues. So one of the things that does happen when we go live is that we have all this different technical things that can happen in the background. When we look at live streaming, there's so many different aspects that we always have to work on. One day I was doing a show, and like 10 minutes before, my computer totally died. So I couldn't even do my show. So that same day I went and I bought the new computer I have, which is the Mac Studio. And, I was able to apologize and have the guest on at a different time. But these things happen, right? So when we want to do something, we are there to do it, but we have technical issues, just like Gabe is having right now. It's live, it's show business, right? Imagine 20 years ago, we probably would not be able to do this with just a computer and a simple microphone or earphones. But now technology has truly come into what we expect now. Just like the microwave, right? Most people are in front of the microwave and like, is it done? Is it done? Is it ready? So sometimes we have to be a little bit patient. And I know Gabe said he'll be here very shortly. So what can I tell you? When we are looking to do things, right? Our intentions have to be pure. They have to be there. And no matter what, the show must go on. Now, sometimes I've been at the back end of bad audio, bad things. One time I was doing a live show with my co-host EA on Heroes Rising, and for some reason I could not get my camera to go on, and I looked like I was like, an inch big, and everybody else was nice, and their cameras were working perfectly. Meanwhile, it looked like I was like galaxies away. And these are the things that happen anytime that you do something. Never, and one of the lessons that I've taken from this is we never take anything or anyone for granted. Thinking about life choices that we make, do we choose for things to happen? No. We always plan for the best outcome. Always plan for that. And that's a good plan to always have. But just have contingencies in case things don't happen the way you want it to. So I am sure that Gabe will be joining me shortly. And thinking about the concepts, the ideas, everything that comes into live streaming. Now there's a couple of different companies out there who are doing it. And every company, either they have to stay up with technology or they're going to be gone. Just remember Blockbuster? Yeah, Blockbuster. People like, wow. I used to go to Blockbuster. Actually, one of my studios, my first martial arts studios, was in the same shopping center as a Blockbuster. And I was there for a little bit, and then boom, they went out of business. And it was kind of devastating because people were like, oh, now what do I do? Where do I go? And of course, Netflix took over. And I heard that Blockbuster had a chance to buy out Netflix. But one of the things that they said is that they didn't think that was the future. And they thought that videotapes was going to be everything, or DVDs, right? And do you even use a DVD anymore? Do you use a DVD player? Here's the thing, right? Netflix still does a DVD service. I know many of you probably haven't heard of it. The only reason I still know of it is because my girlfriend's mom still gets DVDs in the mail. And it's the funniest thing. She goes, oh, I can't wait for that show. And I'm like, okay. She goes, but I put my order in. It should be coming soon. I'm like, you mean you're still doing DVDs? And yes, she is. So sometimes habits are tough to break, right? She's so used to getting a DVD and putting it in a DVD player. So one of the comments that we made when we were gathering around is, we hope your DVD player never breaks down, or you're going to have to come into the present time and stop living in the past. Thinking about where we have all the issues that come up with technology, with advancement in everything, right? One of the things that has happened lately is a lot of people are realizing that in the work experience, we have to be able to treat people better, right? The pandemic definitely taught us that a lot of people did not go back to their jobs because they realized that I was not being treated right. I was, I was being taken advantage of, or my work ethic was not taken for granted, if anything. So a lot of people, they went into a hybrid situation where maybe they were going to work 1 or 2 days a week, and then they went to 3 days at home. And I was talking to one of my business partners recently, and he does everything virtual. He was doing everything virtual, I would say 3 years before the pandemic. And I said to him, what's one of the benefits of you staying at the company you're working for? He goes, exactly that. I have the luxury of working anywhere in the world, anywhere. So thinking about the beauty of circumstance, the beauty of things that can come up, the beauty of how we take a bad situation and make it a good situation, right? How many people benefited from the pandemic, and how many people suffered from the pandemic? It's overwhelming how many people suffered. Meanwhile, other people, they did a mind shift and they said, okay, there's a situation here. How do I adapt? How do I change my thoughts, my beliefs, my day to day? So these are things that we have to think about on a regular basis. So I'm not sure what happened to Gabe exactly. I know he said he had trouble with his audio, but I'm just going to give him another minute, and then we might have to do this another time. When we think about leveling ourselves up, what do we do for it? What are we doing every day? What are our habits? And I think our habits play a huge part in the way we live our lives, in the way we take care of all things. Habits really play a huge part in our daily lives. Here's a habit I've gotten into with live streaming, right? I come on about 15 minutes before and I check all my lights, right? So you see I got lights in the background. I have a different light. Normally I have a overhead light, but I have a different light for this. I have 3 lights going on, actually 5 lights going on, just so I can get that right mood, that right feel. And then I'm using a Rodecaster Pro, and that allows my audio, so I can play music. Let's play some. There it is. And there's some music I can play. I can change that up to a different one. And it's so cool because now somebody just took a hit, right? And then maybe that person has to go to start training. Maybe they have to go to a boxing room, a boxing gym, or box at home. It doesn't matter where you are. And then maybe you got to start hitting the speed bag, right? And once you start hitting the speed bag, the reason for speed bag is to speed things up, to get your shoulders pumped up, to get you into a faster speed, and then eventually get you into an actual fight. But here's the thing, do you actually have to step into a ring to get into a fight? I think the fight that we all have to get into every single day is the fight of being the same. We have to fight. We have to do things to stay relevant. We have to fight so we can stay present. And once you do it on a regular basis, it's not a fight anymore. It becomes a habit. So I had to check all my lights before I even started this podcast, this live stream. And then I connected my camera. And then I have 2 monitors. Actually, I have 3 monitors, but I'm only using 2 right now. And then I had to make sure they're working fine. So there's all these different things I go before I even go live streaming, right? So habits, what do we do? How do we handle them? And will they change the way we live? I think so. Pepsodent was one of the ones that started the real trend for us to start brushing our teeth on a regular basis. And even though there were other toothpastes out there, and it all comes from having to create a habit so people could be healthier. And this, I think, was during World War I, because there were soldiers there with bad teeth, and bad teeth led to other problems. So how do we get people to do something on a regular basis that's beneficial? Because habits can also be detrimental, right? So what habits are you working on daily? Is it the habits that are going to hurt us, or the habits that are going to help us and guide us? I see that Gabe is basically coming on, and I see Gabe coming on. So Gabe, I have been talking for a bit. I'm so happy you made it. Thank you, my friend. How are you? You have your audio all set up now.
I believe so.
Okay, you're a little low.
Okay, hold on. See, that's what I was.
Yeah, no problem. So you might have to go to settings and then just adjust your volume there even. Right, if you go to audio and you go automatically adjust mic volume, you can click on that and adjust it that way.
All right, hello, can you hear me?
Oh, much better.
Awesome.
So, I want to thank you for having audio problems and making me talk for about 10 minutes. And I was telling people that all the different things that can happen with live streaming, right? And obviously, as an expert, it doesn't matter who you are, things happen, right?
Oh, absolutely. This was so essentially last night I was live streaming,
Right.
and really great conversation. Me and my guest. I mean, it was great going. Audience was adding a lot of value. There was a lot of great things going on. And there was this thunderstorm. And the thunderstorm knocked out my power in the middle of my live stream.
No way. Oh.
So yes, essentially, once the power went out, it killed everything. My live stream audio. So, great thing about it is my guest she was cool as cucumbers.
Mm.
She
I
essentially
like
just
cucumbers.
yes. She essentially just kind of waited around, and then she reconnected, and we just carried on the conversation. So for about 5 minutes, everything stopped.
Mm.
We got started back again. The audience that was in the chat stayed around.
Really?
Jumped back in,
Wow.
and we finished another 30 minutes after that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, doing 300 something plus episodes, that was still a first for me.
You brought up an extremely good point. A thunderstorm, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people don't realize that there's a reason we plug surge protectors, because it will kill your equipment. So everything that I'm using right now is plugged into a power surge. So that, because if you get that surge of power, man, you don't want to kill your computer, your monitors. I have a Rodecaster Pro. I don't want to kill any of that. So yeah, that's critical, right? And thank God that it didn't kill your equipment either, because to be honest with you, I had a show set up with a gentleman who had a professional studio in his basement.
Oh. No.
He got flooded 3 days before we were supposed to go on. He lost, I think, $20,000 worth of equipment.
That's
How terrible! But he's also a musician, right? He's a singer, and he's amazing. He was on so many different shows, live shows, on television and the whole deal. And it's like that's such a setback, but can also be a great lesson anytime that something drastic like that happens. There's a reason things happen, and when we're in the middle of it, we are either panicked, mad, angry, all these different things. And I just lost Gabe again. So there we go. Things happen. So hopefully he'll jump back on. And so, like I was saying, this person that I was supposed to have on lost about $20,000 worth of equipment. And if you have any equipment, none of this stuff is cheap. Your microphones, your cameras, your computers, any lights, anything. It's always, expensive. So we are going to stay on, and I'm just texting him, letting him know that we are staying on. So hopefully he will be able to jump back on with us. So sometimes when we're faced with adversity, the things that happen is the emotions that set in, right? And it's what we do with those emotions. How do we handle it, right? I mean, the toughest thing is losing a loved one. And Gabe is back. And Gabe, I was talking about what happens when things go wrong, right? And it's the emotions that we go through. And the real challenge is, how do we handle them, right? And I was just talking about when you lose someone, the emotions that we go through in real life. It's a devastating thing, but we only lost you temporarily, so I'm glad you're back.
I don't know exactly what happened, but it went away for a second and it came back on.
I think, you know what? I think I know what's happening here. You're testing my skills to see if I can handle adversity. And I even I texted you through LinkedIn and I said, we're staying on. Because for me, I'm super excited to talk to you. You're an expert when it comes to live streaming. Man, over 300 shows.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about your childhood. We're going to talk about what made you who you are today. Because to me, I believe as young as we are, when we can truly start to understand things a little bit, even 1.5, 2 years old, all the way to probably 7, maybe even 10, we're so impressionable that things that we see and do and happen to us will affect us later on, whether we like it or not. So, talk to me about when you were a child running around. What were you doing?
You know what? I grew up in a big family. So
How big?
I had five brothers and two sisters.
Nice.
It's
Oh,
pretty big.
wait. I'm number 10 of 12.
You know the feeling, man.
So I'm not trying to beat you. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to let you know that we're in the same boat. So you and I were like brothers, basically, right?
Yes. So I mean, I was the third of eight. So but growing up in a big family like that, you always had somebody to play with. You always had someone that you either fought with or connected with really well. And as a kid, I could always remember not really ever being bored, because I had my family with me. So we always found something to do, whether it was going outside to play at the park, or playing football, or just doing crazy things with each other. That was like a real big thing for me. And then, of course, for me, especially as a kid, just kind of learning to like emulate what my older brothers were doing. And really just trying to figure out how to who I was and what I was as a kid. So I always used to love drawing. I used to love creating stories. I mean, it kind of images what I do now.
Right.
But I was doing this as a kid. So those things that I'm doing now have always been sort of ingrained in me as as young as I remember, like 5 years old. And I'm 47 now, so it's been that long that those things were foundationally developed inside of me, and they continue to kind of push what I do here now as a live streamer.
Right. So, where do you fall in place on the 8?
So I'm the third of 8. So I have 2 older brothers.
Right.
Then I have 1, 2, 3 younger brothers, and then 2 younger sisters.
Nice.
So big family, but it was always fun. There was always excitement going on. There was always something happening.
You guys were a team.
Yeah. Well, and we were all pretty much almost a year and a half to 2 years apart in age. So it wasn't too much of a gap, except for like my younger siblings.
Gotcha. So where did you guys grow up?
So we grew up here in Texas. I'm a native Texan. Been in Texas my whole life. We grew up here. We were lucky as kids. My grandmother and grandfather had a really successful business.
Nice.
So it's growing up as kids, and especially into an entrepreneur household. We were lucky and blessed with a lot of freedoms and things that a lot of parents don't have. So we grew up on a ranch outside of Dallas, about 30 minutes south of Dallas. And being out there in the country, you had so much to explore, so much to do. So that was a little bit different about how I grew up. I didn't really grow up too much around inner city or a lot of that thing. So it was just pretty much just me and my family growing up as a young kid. And even though having friends and stuff in school, it was always usually just me hanging around with my brothers. I had enough people around.
That's cool. You had a tribe. You were part of a tribe.
Yes.
I love that. The fond memories. I remember playing with like mud and my brothers.
Yes.
Just like dirt and like water fights. Just not even toys. We didn't have toys in that regard. We were just playing with what was out there, the nature, right? We were in nature and we were playing and running around and, all different types of games. I mean, we used to play when I was a kid. There was a game, it's a tag name. We used to call it Ringolario, right? And it's where you tag one person. It's just like, you tag, and then the next person you tag, they go help you tag. But we used to play when I grew up in Colombia, but when I came, I was 8 years old. And then in the block that we used in Colombia, I recall there'd be like 50 kids on the street playing this game. And it was the coolest thing ever, because it's like, wow, not only, okay, maybe I'm it, but I'm going to have a tribe coming after you to try to tag you. And it was the coolest thing ever. So those moments in time that you kind of have with your family, right? That really, really sets you up for everything that we do, right? When it comes to thinking about all the different things that we're grateful for, the family, the brothers, the sisters, the memories, right? Can't take those away.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's, and I think if those are, when you go back and recollect on your life and those sort of things, those are moments that you really cherish, right? And those are the things that money can't buy, that no matter what, those things carry on with you. And those things, again, make the foundation of who you are. So even in times of like peril, or you're going through trials and tribulations, thinking back on a lot of those memories, sometimes those help you pull through. They guide you through things. So that's why a lot of those things are very, again, ingrained and invaluable. So I don't ever forget about them. I never try to look at my life and not go back and say, man, I've been blessed with a lot of things. And for me, that's one of them is just growing up with a big family and still having those people around my life. I mean, to me, that we sometimes we have friends. We have friends when we grow up, and sometimes friends and people like that move on and grow apart and those sort of things. But I think having a strong family bond like that, it's usually forever. I mean, most of the time, your family's with you. So, and I cherish those, and I will always cherish those things.
Right. It's when you think about family, right? It's the people that you had no choice of growing up with, right?
Yeah.
But later on, it's unfortunate where so many families fall apart because different thoughts, different ideas, different concepts, different friends. But when we can actually become friends with our family, man, does that light you up, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's for me. That's so important. Because again, like I said, most of the time, family's important.
You might have to go to settings and hit echo canceling. So I got echo.
It's picking up echo.
It is. Just hit.
It is. I hear it.
Yeah.
There it goes.
Talk to me.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I can still hear echo. Talk to me.
Hello.
Hola,
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Is it still echoing?
A little bit.
Oh man. I don't know why. All of a sudden it just started doing this.
I heard.
This is why that's what I was like telling earlier. The audio thing was
okay.
It was sort of weird.
Yeah. I hear you. Do you want to log off and log back on?
Yeah.
Would be that
If
okay?
if it's still echoing, yes. Let me log back off. I don't know why it keeps. Yeah, for some reason, it's picking up an external
Hmm.
source, and it shouldn't be. I don't know why it's like making that echo sound. So like, I was doing it earlier, and it was driving me nuts, and now,
It's like you just got hit, right?
yeah, it's coming. All right, I'm gonna come right back. Hold on, let me see if it's
All right.
doing this again. Hold on.
Yeah, go for it. So here we go. Technical difficulties, and it doesn't matter. Like I said before, Gabe live streams every day. And this is the first time he's having this type of issues, but there's always a first time. So never, never take anything for granted because it can happen. It can happen to you. It can happen to me. It can happen. So live streaming is very cool. I really enjoy it because it's so raw, right? It's not edited. It's not like you can take out the ums and the you knows and all this kind of stuff. It's there. It is happening in real time. By the way, I know Gabe has an event coming up on September. So we're going to share that with you as well. And I want to let you know that I am going to be going live with my great friend Celeste, and she's all the way in Queensland. And we're going to start that on Tuesday, September 20th. And it's going to be crazy because for me, Eastern time, it's going to be 4:30 a.m. And for her, it's going to be 6:30 p.m. So we're going from one end of the stream to the other. And for me, she said to me, "Oh my gosh, 4:30 in the morning, are you crazy?" And I'm like, yes, I think I am. But it's going to be so much fun. We have such great content that we're going to be delivering on a weekly basis. We're also looking for amazing guests. So if you are a person of substance, and what I mean by that, Gabe is back. So I was talking about. Oh, I hear myself.
Uh-oh. Why is
Is
it?
your headphone connected, even though it's on your ear?
Shouldn't be. There's no mic. There's no external mic on my headphones, so it's just really should
Let me
be
see.
feeding
Okay, now I don't
straight
hear
to.
me. Okay, so I was talking about you have an event. I still hear me coming up soon. Maybe
Okay.
go back into settings and hit echo canceling.
Okay.
I did it on my end as well. Let me do that again. Just double check. Yeah, I have echo canceling. And oh, kind of went away. Ah, it went away.
Okay, there it goes. Hello.
Yay. Hello, much
Okay.
better. So I was talking about you have an event coming up soon, and I'm starting a new show also on September 20th. And it's going to be me at my time zone, which is 4:30 a.m. and my co-host, or should I say my other host, we're both, and she's also in Queensland, Australia, and she's going to be 6:30 p.m. So we're hitting both aspects.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy fun show. So if you're ever up at that time, either time, or you can always catch the replay. We're going to go live every Tuesday starting September 20th. Before we go on, I think you have an event coming up, right?
Yeah.
You have an event every day, don't you?
Yes, I have an event every day actually. So here's the thing. I've launched a new show, kind of like what you're talking about as well,
Mm,
um, where I'm doing a live stream every Monday through Friday.
nice.
And it is at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. It's every evening here in
Mm,
the States. Um, so it is. I'm doing 100 episodes for this season here.
mm.
So last night was actually episode 17. So I still have 83 more to go.
That's all?
But that's all. That's all. But I mean, that's the whole thing about doing all these shows.
Mhm.
They do start going pretty quickly, and after a while, what I've learned is that as you start doing more and more shows, you start getting more and more of your workflow down. You start getting more of how your process goes, and then you start learning like how the chemistry works between you and your audience, or you and how your guest interact. So I mean, that's the whole thing about doing these, is just to kind of get a lot of not just great content out there, but then to get a lot of great experiences and things that you want to do as a creator out there. So that's why I'm doing this now. This is my fourth season of doing this.
Mm,
So by the time I'm done, I'll have close to over 400 episodes of
nice.
just like content that I've single-handedly created on my live shows, and not even including guest appearances and other events that I've actually done
Right, right.
on the side. So yeah, it's a part of what I do as a live stream creator, is
Nice.
to actually go out and live stream as much as
Very cool.
possible.
So Andrew says hi, and he's coming from California, and it'll be 5:15 his time. So very cool, Andrew. I know you're gonna love his show for sure. And Andrew, I know that when I do my show on the 20th, it's 4:30 a.m. Eastern time. So it'll be what time for you? 3:30, actually 1:30
One
a.m.
day.
So maybe before you go to sleep, who knows? So that's the whole thing, right? When we think about live streaming, is we are live worldwide. I've done so many shows with people in Italy, Singapore, the UK, Australia. So it's crazy when we're thinking about our nighttime is their daytime, and vice versa, right?
Right,
Sometimes
right.
even in Texas, it's not the same time as here, right? What time are you there now?
So it is 9:36 here in Texas.
Right.
Um, but
So
what I
it's
love,
36, right? From you.
yeah,
Hmm.
and but the cool thing is, like, usually when I go live, they'll I might not be able to catch like some audience over in the UK and a few other places, but I do get a few people that tune in from Australia, because it's already um, closer to their midday
Correct.
around there.
Correct. Yeah.
So I do get a few people that tune in from over there. So shout out to Mr. Roy Kowalski and Helen Peck, if you guys ever go back and watch this,
Yeah.
because they do tune in from Australia. So blessed to have those folks join along and be a part of the conversation. So yeah, man, it's
Isn't
worldwide,
that cool?
international. It
Isn't that
is.
cool when people like even Andrew just came on, Andrew Bennett, and he came on and he just said hi. I mean, that's so cool. That's why I love live streaming. But when somebody can actually come and say, hey, maybe even ask a question is, and one of the topics, and I put on here is earlier is, do you want to learn how to live stream? And
Yeah.
look, we're live streaming now and we had technical difficulties. You sound great right now, buddy. You sound great. So, but
Thank
here's
you.
the thing, right? Things come up.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. Here's the thing, it's how you roll, right? Like how you roll with things. That's the true character of a person. It's, if somebody comes at you and they're all angry and they start yelling at you and you act or react, right?
Right.
There's a huge difference between acting and reacting. Because if you react, probably your reaction is going to be to mirror what they're doing. So if they're angry, you're going to get angry. Maybe you don't even know why they're angry, but you're angry because they're angry. But if you act, it's different because you have a choice of your actions. You can choose to say, hey, I understand you're angry. Can I please help me explain to me why you're angry? And maybe I can help to understand, but I don't need to be angry because your anger is yours alone. I don't
Yeah.
need any of it, right? Do I need it? No. But here's the thing, the way we act or react will tell someone the kind of person we are. I probably am the calmest person you'll ever meet because nothing phases me. Things happen. It's life. One day you can be walking and boom, if you look up for one quick second, you can fall into pothole. Who
Yeah.
knows, right? And this morning I was here. I'm going to tell you the honest truth. This morning my plan was to get up around maybe a quarter to 5 in the morning. just casually. 2:20. 2:20 I got up. Guess what? It's not because my body said, "Get up, dude." That's it. But I went to sleep around 11-ish, 11:15, 11:20,
Yeah.
and I expected to get up around, close to 5 o'clock. My body said, "Nope, get up." And so I got up and I had all these things in my head. And so I went in and I did research and I did all this different research. And then I said, "Oh, okay, I'm done with my research. What time is it?" "Oh, it's only 3:30. Okay, I have an hour and a half before the time I'm supposed to get up. So what am I going to do?" "Oh, I know. I'll go and edit. I'll go and edit the audio for my next podcast." So I edited it. And at 5 o'clock, I went, took a shower, and then I went and worked. And I did what my day was planned for.
Yeah.
So the way I see it is, wow, somehow I got extra time to do things I thought I would have had to do later on. So I kind of knocked out some things before I even knew I was going to.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, so I love the fact that you say that those things do not deter you. Um,
Yeah.
and you just kind of have to literally roll with the punches. Um, because and hopefully that's the lesson everybody's been taking out of life. Um, if you take anything out of what happened with the pandemic and COVID,
Oh, yeah.
that was it. Is that you had to go ahead and learn to change. You had to learn and deal with
Mm.
what life gave you. You didn't have an option. It was you had to roll with the punches. You had to either work from home or you had to do things differently. And hopefully a lot of those things that happened, as you got through them, maybe help change your perspective on how you go about approaching life in general moving forward. Is that, you know what, I just have to learn how to roll with the punches. If this happens to me today, guess what, I got to learn to deal with it, learn how to unpack it, what I got to do with it, and then move forward, because life doesn't stop until it is your time. So, the sun's going to rise tomorrow. You're going to have to get up. Your things are going to have to happen. So if it means I woke up at 2 o'clock today, I woke up at 2 o'clock today.
Yeah.
What can I get accomplished, or what are some of the things I can do, or what are the things that I can change? Because then that changes the whole latitude of how your day flows.
Hmm.
Because you did things today that you didn't think you were going to get to do, and then later on, when you had those sort of things planned out, you're like, I'm ahead of the game,
I'm
or
way
yeah,
ahead.
you know. So then it gives you the ability to change a few things that probably would have just been normal and routine.
Hmm.
So I love that keeps you on your toes, because that is how life actually flows. As
Right.
much as we try to plan and a routine and get things in place, again, life has that mysterious way of saying, "Not today, buddy.
Yeah.
Not today. We're gonna do something different, and you're gonna have to just learn how to deal." And that is how life continually shows us. So I think it's sort of insane to say, like, this is my routine all the time and I'll never change it.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
No, that doesn't work.
anybody who's had it like that, where it's just never changed. And
Yeah.
if it did, guess what? You had it changed 2 years ago. So there you go. That's life.
Hello, hello, Yasmin. Thank you.
Yasmin, thank
Yasmin,
you.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yes.
One of the things that I was talking to my coach yesterday, and I'm going to an event in California at Universal Studios in October, right?
Hmm.
He goes, "Oh, you're going to be so happy with the rides." And I said, "You know what? I used to love rides when I was a kid. I used to go to Seven Flags all the time." I said, "But you know what? Because of the ride I'm on now, there's no ride that can compare to the rides that are out there. The ride I'm on right now, I'm always up. It's like this, always going, right? So we have to think about, you make your life
Yeah.
bountiful, beautiful, delicious, if you will, right? If you had to eat the best meal in the world, why aren't you? Why
Exactly.
why are you suffering? Well, and I'm not talking about like, you know, just stuff your face. I'm talking about the best meal could be, you ever seen those, which is crazy. I think they used to have a show where it was a meal in a spoon, and they used to have these chefs, and it used to take them 10 hours to create this little meal on a spoon. And crazy. And it was just one bite, and that was it. That was the perfect meal. And that's what I'm talking about. Every day is an opportunity to have the best life ever. But it's you. It's up to you. What do you make of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the whole thing that as look as we do like self discovery and in digging more inside of ourselves, like when we really go introspective of like how our lives are,
Mm,
those are the things that we really again have to learn how to actually not just enjoy but understand how much value they have in our lives. And because people sometimes will overlook things like that, like having just a simple meal sometimes, right? And those are the things that you can actually tie like to really deep ingrained memories and that sort of thing. So it's like your favorite meal that your mother used to make. If she's no longer here on this earth, that is a memory that's tied into something um, that will always be subconsciously connected to you. So that is where I say those little moments that we all have
right.
are important. And like you said, so if it is having the best meal, guess what? You will remember that meal for a long time. You're like, man, sometimes it'll this is what the funny thing about memories. They help trigger things inside of our body. So like if you remember that meal for whatever it is, right? However good it was, however bad it was, however whatever the experience was is tied with it. If it's like I that was the best meal I ever had, you're gonna salivate. You're gonna think about
Mhm,
it again. Like, man, I wish I could go back to that, or I wish I could have that again.
right.
So it triggers things in our minds, and it actually helps kind of also lead us down what we're going to do, whether it's today, tomorrow, or in a week. It's like, you know what? Um, I haven't had a let's just say I haven't had a sweet potato pie in since Thanksgiving.
Mm,
Well, if it comes across the point or that moment, or for whatever reason you want a sweet potato pie, you're going to go look for one.
that's right.
You're gonna go be like, now I have, because it's triggered something in there, and it's triggered those feelings and those neurons and everything in there that are firing. Like, you want sweet potato pie, you need to find that urge
Mhm,
and whatever. So that's why I said, so living those best moments, you always will. Those will always create things that will stay with you, and sometimes they become you know pieces of what you do in your everyday life, because um, they are just that powerful. So,
right.
like for me, it was like learning what this is and doing what we're talking about here in live streaming.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
And
the first time
go ahead, go ahead.
I was to say the first time it ever like really resonated with me and stayed with me was a driving factor in what I do now. And it's funny because we're talking about this, but like Monday, I did for the first time something I've been wanting to do for a very long time. I interviewed myself.
What?
I So I recorded myself answering questions that I was going to ask myself. Um,
That is so cool.
so I wrote down a couple questions. I asked myself internally like what these questions are as I was writing them out, and then I
Mm,
went back and recorded my answers, and then I took the footage of my answers, and then I went and put it into my live stream,
mm,
and I interviewed myself live. So I asked my questions live, and I had my answers in there. But that is it for me. Is where like I say, live streaming has been a big part of what I do, and
mm.
it's those feelings and those things. When I did that Monday, it took me all the way back to my very first sort of time doing this. It triggered that feeling. That was the first time I've done. Like I said, I've done over 300 episodes and everything. Monday was the first time in a very long time that I had those feelings again, like being on camera for the first time, being nervous, having
Wow,
butterflies.
really? Yasmin says that's cool, man. I agree. Yasmin, that
And
is very cool.
so it was something that I was excited to do, but it was also nerve wracking. And it was, again, the thrill and the excitement of doing it all. It came rushing back to me again. So that's why I said those memories and those moments that you tie into like that,
Mm,
they stay with you forever. And you don't ever want to forget them. So I love that you mentioned that, man. That's a big one for me as far as like what this experience doing this here and why it's so important. And that's just how I see it from my perspective as a creator. So it's been awesome, and I hope everybody has those sort of experiences in their life, whether it's climbing a mountain, whether it's running a marathon, whether it's getting the degree or doing the things that you want to accomplish. Um, those moments and those things will forever be ingrained in how we live and breathe. So man, that's how I see life, and that's cool.
that is cool. You know what? One of the things, and we're talking about memories, right? And
Hmm.
how amazing they can make us feel. Whoa! I just had a humongous truck pass by my house. So there we go, live streaming, right? So so Yasmin says she has a good one, or have a good one, right? Great stuff, guys. So when we think about the experiences we've had, some of them are not always positive, right?
No.
And that's the ones that we have to kind of like understand that they did happen, but don't relive them, right? Because then
Hmm.
you'll start spiraling downward into a negative, 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 and then your mood will go along with that.
Hmm.
Andrew Agassi, Anthony Robbins helped him out because one of the things I remember, I think it was one of the audio tapes from Anthony Robbins, and he talked about how he helped him overcome, his losing streak because he went into a slump, and
Yeah.
it was because it just things were happening, right? And so one of the things that Anthony Robbins said to him is like, let's recall your most your best experience on a serve, on a return, everything. And let's go deep into what were you feeling? What was your body like? Were you sweating? Did you feel chill? Did you feel all these things? Because when it truly comes down to it, some of our memories will give us chills. They will make us sweat. They will give us anxiety. They will give us fear. But they can also give us joy, happiness, right? That tingling feeling. So let's not relive the negative ones, right? Let's always go for that. I remember grandma's apple pie, or I remember, uh, that steak and beans that I had, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
As a kid, we did not know negativity unless it was presented to us. As adults, unfortunately, we do it to ourselves. We bring negativity to ourselves constantly, and we have to get away from that all the time. Live streaming to me has become such a positive effect on my podcasting because here's the cool thing that I'm now able to do for my guests, right? Like
Yeah.
even with you, we're doing this live so people can join us and they can listen to us. Now we have a raw, uncut, this is definitely uncut, right?
Yes.
An experience. It truly happened. So now here's the cool thing. Afterwards, I'm able to take that video and I can send it to my guests. And so what I say to them is use it to your advantage. Make quick edits, do YouTube shorts, do reels, do whatever it is, right? And then you can even put that whole video if you like it on your website. But
Yeah.
then I go a step further and then I cut up the audio and now I edit it, right? Now I edit it and then I put it on the audio podcasting platforms. So all my guests are now, and since I started live streaming, I think they're getting way more value from the conversations we're getting because they're getting the video from it and then
Hmm.
they get the audio. And now we're able to reach a lot more audiences than we were before when I was only doing audio podcasting, right?
Right. And that's and I love that you mentioned this because somebody asked this question last night on my show about, do you think that uh, live streaming will like overtake the audio part? I was like, well, no, because
Mm.
um, each individual is going to have the medium that they kind of resonate with.
Right,
Um, so, I mean, people can still go buy books, but why do people listen to audiobooks?
right.
Because of convenience, or it help, or they eat. Like for me, um, I take to it a little bit better listening to an audio book. So, and I'm able to kind of consume it a lot faster than I would if I had reading. So, um, I think those mediums and how and what we do,
Mhm.
they kind of help each other. So now that you have the audio side now and have the video side, it becomes more of a resource
Oh yeah, without a
that
doubt.
that you can actually now go take and go look. Here's a part, because some of us are, again, and I use this as an example last night, mathematics. I can explain to you a mathematic equation, or how do you think you learn better, the visual or the audio part about it? It's some people are more visual learners, so they're going to connect with video.
Mm.
So that is why it's like it's okay if you have the video and the audio and everything that goes along with that. Um, because again, each person is going to find it, again, how they learn and how they consume what it is that they want to go look for is just going to depend on their ability to actually listen to it, take it in, and actually uh, be attentive to it. So like I said, the video part of it, people love that part about it. People love the audio part about it. They don't, like some
Mhm.
people, like, I don't need the visual, I just listen to it. And there's people like, I don't need either, I read. Okay, that's cool. uh,
Right. Can't read a podcast. You can
you can't
read a blog.
you can read a blog, but so that's why, like, people will do that. They'll take it from video form to audio form and into blog form.
Mhm.
So they try to reach all sort of different consumers as far as like
Right.
who wants to take in what they do as a creator. So, but I think if you're able to create all three, or if you're able to even do these two, again, it's just another great way to expand um, your reach and how you are as a creator. So when you were doing just audio podcast, that's all you could really reach out to,
Right.
you know. So it would be a little bit different for, you know, it would be a little bit different for people trying to consume your content on YouTube.
Mhm.
If it was just audio, like there was nothing else, and it was, where now if people go back and watch a video part of it, they take in both the audio, the visual, everything else. So it's
And
it's the whole ordeal. It's all of it. It's
right.
the whole package.
Absolutely.
So
One of the things, and I taught my kids this, is that my car is my university, right? So it's either I'm listening to a podcast, I'm listening to an audiobook, or even now, because of, man, technology is amazing. I can actually put YouTube on, listen to an audiobook through YouTube. Didn't even cost me anything. I didn't just go in there, put it on my phone. Now it goes through to my car speakers, and I'm listening to an audiobook as I drive. Amazing, right? And one of the things that with my kids, right? They're 18 and 21 now. We always get in the car and it was always like, all right, guys, what are we learning today? Right? Recently, I took a young instructor with me. I gave him a ride half of the way home. And so that way his parents wouldn't have to drive him the whole way. And on the way there, and I said, oh, by the way, I don't know if you like it or not, but you're in my university now. He's like, what? And I said, that's right. I said, anytime you get in the car with me, I'm going to put an audio podcast and you're going to learn something. So he learned about finance, he learned about savings, he learned about reading, he learned science, he learned all these different things. And one day he's just listening, he's not saying anything, he's not saying it. So one day I said to him, so what do you think? He goes, oh, I really like it. I go, is this the first time you've ever done anything like this? He goes, yeah. I said, so your parents don't know, they just listen to music. I said, oh, okay. I said, and that's cool. There's nothing, I listen to music too. I said, but sometimes I choose that. And I love music. I love music. But sometimes it's, I'm in that frame of mind. It's like, I need substance right now. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's why, and and my kids know it. Now this kid knows it. And anybody who gets in my car, like, oh, what are we learning today? It's the other university on wheels. And I always have something playing. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I don't really watch TV. I don't listen to the news, but I do put
Me
on the radio on my way to, like, for 5 minutes, just to know what's going on with the weather, know what's going on with traffic, and that's it. And then I shut it off and put my university on. So
Yeah.
that's everything, right?
And yeah, and that's the thing about it. Like for people who are like, well, I don't have time to learn a new skill or a new trade or anything, or learn certain things. I mean, that's what all these audio things are. That's where all these podcasts are. That's where all these things you can go do now are essentially at your fingertips here through your phone. You can grab your phone, you can go hook it up, you
Mm,
can go turn it on, and you have a wealth of information. It's like an encyclopedia in your hand. So if you want to go learn something, you can go take the time and essentially just search for what it is that interests you, and take the time to intake a lot of information that you want to, that's going to help you get to where you want to go and what you want to do.
mm.
So I love that you share that, because that's, again, that's huge. And that's why I tell people, like, creating these things and putting your message out there and sharing your experiences. So if you are a finance professor and you create a podcast and you're talking about finance and you're giving tips and advice and things that people can go learn,
Oh yeah.
that's almost like being in your class and taking a course on how to do it,
Mhm.
except I'm getting it for free and I'm getting it from a podcast
Yeah.
that I
Nice.
can go listen to it anytime at my convenience. That's the magical part of it. It's not like where if you have to go take a class, I have to be there at X amount of time or have this time scheduled in here. It is exactly, could be on your morning jog, in your afternoon, from your commute from one place to the other. So, I mean, that's the magic of what we get to do um, as creators. And when I tell people, put it out there, go do it. I mean, I had a gentleman yesterday who reached out to me and he wanted to start doing live streaming, talking about uh, him being neurodivergent and helping other people like with figure that out in their lives, whether it's ADHD and all these other things. Like, good, that's what you need to do. If
Mhm.
that is what you're passionate about and you're really good at it and you get clients and you're doing that sort of work already in your profession, man, you're just going to create another valuable resource for somebody to go out there and say, um, I want to learn this, or my kid is going through this, or whatever. And you can say, hey, oh, look, I've interviewed somebody who had a kid very similar along those lines. Here's the link to the podcast if you want to go listen to it or go watch it on YouTube or wherever it is, or the blog that we wrote out about this. So that's why, like, all this information and everything that you're creating carries a very strong value to what you do. So, um, that is where I push people to go say, yes, go do it. Believe me, you might think it's boring for you, or you might think nobody will listen, or you think all these things. And I'll tell you, you're wrong. There's somebody out there who's actually looking for exactly for what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And there might be 10 other experts, but let me tell you what, you could have 10 experts telling you the same thing, but maybe only one of them actually gets through and resonates with you. So you were that one of that 10, but it was the one that actually connected. And that's why I say, go out there and share it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, why do people create music still? I mean, every note that can be played has been played, but it doesn't stop people from using those notes in different sequences and different ways to go back out there and just be creative with it. So, I mean, it's the same thing what we're doing here, folks. I mean, what you talk about, what you share, uh, probably has been mentioned somewhere else, but it's just about how whether or not what I say and how you say it is going to resonate with that person. So please go do it. Put yourself out there, and that is again, that's the power of what we do with live streaming and live and creating videos and doing this. So that's why it's why it's my passion, because it's helped change my life. And I know if it's changed mine, that there's probably other people out there that are searching for this right now, and hopefully they come find me or somebody I've helped to get along that lines, and they can help them. And that's where it's just me important to me. I don't have to necessarily be that person, but if I've helped somebody else get there and they're able to help somebody else down the road, that
Oh,
to me
yeah.
that's where it's all worth it. Every single bit of it.
You know, it's very interesting, and everything you're talking about, I agree with you 100%. Here's the thing. When I started my Coaching Call podcast, I never thought I would be its biggest fan. I am addicted to my show. I am. And the reason is because when I edit it, I re-listen to it, right? So the conversation you and I are having, I mean, I'm in the moment. I'm with you. I'm not thinking of anything else. I'm only here with you. You're the most important person right now in front of me.
Yeah.
Later on, I might not edit this for a little bit. And then when I come back, I'm like, oh, great conversation. And I'm re-listening to it and I'm re-engaging with it. And man, do I get a different thought maybe? Or it's like, oh, that hits home. And so I am addicted to my own show, which is kind of funny if you think of it.
No, that's it, it's actually part of the journey.
Mm,
That's the whole point about it when I tell people as well. Not only the lives that you're going to touch, but the life that you're living now is going to change as well, because you're going to get so much out of it for yourself that you don't
mm.
even know has impacted you until like what you're doing. And when you go back and reflect and you're listening to it again, you're like, man, it does so many things for you. Again, like I said, I've had experiences where I've had bad days, and then I come and do my show, and when I'm done and go back and listen to it, it gives me perspective. Like, you just had a bad day, just move on. There's other people that are in lives, in other situations in life, that have gone through worse, and yet here they are sharing their experiences with you, and it kind of helps you learn from each person that you actually talk to. So that's always an interesting aspect to it when you actually go back and um, revisit those conversations and hear things, because again, like you said, you're in the moment, and you're having this conversation, and I'm trying to be an active listener in what you're doing, and what you're sharing as my guest, or as like with you being the host, and then going back and then listening to it again. You're no longer wearing that hat of being the host. Now you're just again a consumer of your own content, and you're like, wow, that was amazing, or that was good, or that's something that, like you said, that really hit home. So that's why all of this here, and everything that we get to do, and the other people, hopefully who listen, who might hear this later on down the line, will actually, who've been thinking about it, will maybe take a step in that direction and go start doing that for themselves.
Let,
Because
let me
again,
ask you, let me ask you, because what made you decide to start live streaming?
oh, that's a good one. So for what started me down this path is what I was at a point in my life where I wanted to sort of challenge myself. And I wanted to do something out of the scope and the realm that I was always used to. I've been a writer in the past, and I've done things in the past of the writing. And not that I don't love writing, it's always going to be my first love. It always will be. Um, but, I wanted to do something again different. And I was never comfortable on camera. Never. I was a kid that shied away from it. If you go back and we look at
Really?
family portraits, I was crying in them. I didn't
Oh,
always want to be front and center, even though I was extroverted. I never wanted to be on camera. I just didn't feel comfortable with it. And so when I decided that
did I lose you, buddy? I think I did. So Gabe was talking to
there we go.
you're back. You're back.
It did it again.
You were
Okay.
just pausing for a second, right?
Uh,
It was a perfect pause because I am shy and
well,
oh,
and here was the thing, is like when I stepped out of those of that shadow.
oh, he froze again. once again, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but the cool thing is that we are still moving forward, right? And, the questions that I'm going to ask Gabe are going to be about why he decided to become a live streamer, right? And he talked about being
We were,
a,
we were,
there you go. So we were off for a little
well,
bit. So
uh,
once again, I'm asking, why did you decide to become
to live.
a live streamer?
Yes. Yeah. So like again, going back, it was challenging myself and wanting to do something different that I had never done before. So like I said, two things that I wanted to accomplish that year. One of them was to get in front of a camera and start doing these sort of things and learning more about people and creativity. And then second was to at some point be on stage, and I wanted to become a speaker, a motivational speaker, and stand in front of people and do this. I was that motivated at the time, and I was able to accomplish one. The other was not so lucky for me, because I started doing this at the tail end of 2019,
Mm,
and my first attempt to actually go speak um, got canceled because in March of 2020 here in the United States, they shut down
everything.
they shut down everything, and
Every,
everything shut down, and that changed the whole scope of everything at that point. So um, I'm actually heading back on this journey again. So in October of this year, I'll be heading down to a conference.
we lost you again, buddy. So you heading to a conference, and one of the things that I want to let Gabe know is that not yet, and yet is the most important word we got to use, because that was his trajectory. He wanted to do public speaking, and he was not able to do it yet. But I know that he'll be very successful once he starts doing it. And going to a conference, sometimes, even if for public speaking, sometimes you just have to donate your time and say, hey, you know what, can I MC this, can I do this, do you need a volunteer to help you out even with setting up? And then you say, hey, I have this concept I want to talk about, would you guys give me a little bit of time? So I totally lost Gabe. Hopefully he'll jump back on. So when we think about getting out there, it's a lot of people don't do what they need to do because of fear. Fear, man, does not stop everyone. And fear is what you make of it, right? So you think about, people say, well, I got butterflies. Yeah, you know what I say? Cool. Make them fly in formation. Take control of those butterflies. Tell them which way to fly, right? Be in control of your destiny. Be the driver of your bus. The Partridge Family, they had a big bus with all the kids. Be the driver. Decide where you want to go. Be the Uber driver for a change. Don't just get in an Uber, right? When you get in an Uber, what's the first thing you tell them? Maybe hi, because you've already said in the app, you've already told them where you're going. But what if you want to make a stop, right? I did that one time. I was heading to the airport and I realized I had an extra hour and a half. And I said to the Uber driver, would you mind making a stop? And he goes, sure. So we made a quick stop. But if I did not communicate that with him, if I did not change the direction of where we were going, he would have just taken me from point A to point B, and that would have been it. So, what changes are you making in your life? And I hope that Gabe is able to come back, because I want to ask him about not only, and he's telling us what motivated him, right? But also if he can recall his first live stream. What date was it? How did he pick the time, even that he live streams now? And you know, how many lessons has he learned through live streaming, right? Because I'm sure they're countless. I think he's coming back. I want to add him to the stream, and maybe he's got to put his camera back on. But Gabe, if you can hear me, buddy, I'm there with you, right? Don't get frustrated, because it's so easy when things don't go our way for us to get frustrated. It is life. It is what happens. Every opportunity is an opportunity to grow. Never think of a negative when something wrong happens. Think of it as an opportunity. What can I do with what's happening now? What is the outcome that I'd like to happen? For example, you wake up, you have plans, this is going to happen, and boom, something else just occurs. And it could be negative, right? Maybe you're driving along and somebody crashes into you. Man, did that just mess up your day? Even if it's a minor fender bender, you still have to stop. And if you were going to an appointment, that's going to hinder that timing, right? You have to take their information, depends on how bad it is. Excuse me. If we don't plan on adversity, we will be in shock when things happen. Things are going to happen. They happen all the time. Just don't be so surprised. Be like, oh, okay, this happened. Now I get it. How do I handle it? So before we're talking about how do you react or how do you act? That's the real question. In an accident, how do you react? If somebody hits you, do you get out all angry? You don't know why they hit you. Maybe they lost control. Maybe they were having a heart attack. Maybe they passed out. Or maybe, unfortunately, they were on their phone and did not see you, which I see so many. I don't get it. With all the smart cars and all the smartphones out there, here's the crazy thing. In a Tesla, I saw someone driving the other day with their hand to their phone and they're like this. And I'm like, what are you, crazy? You're in a Tesla. You don't need to put your phone to your ear. You're in a Tesla. Tesla's very, if you think about it, it's probably one of the smartest cars around, right? And of course, they have a great competition. A lot of people are coming up to it. Why? Because the creator, the guy who came up with the idea of an electric car was not Musk, right? It wasn't him, but he went deeper and further into it. I think there was electric cars back in like whenever they first came out. They didn't have the technology. But the technology has always been there. They just didn't have the know-how of putting it together. So Musk gave the technology away to everybody. And he goes, why should I be the only one? And for that, my gosh, thank you. Because I applaud that type of action. That's a giver. That's someone who wants everybody else to be successful. There's so many people, there's so many different avenues that we can all take. Why should we only gather everything for us? When we can give and give and give and give, we are able to truly make a difference in the world that we live in. If all the technology was harnessed by one person, we would not benefit from it, right? So when you have an idea, when you have a concept, of course, you need to keep that private until you can actually share it and it's still your content, your information, your idea. And then you have to share it. You have to impact that knowledge to other people so we can all live in a better world. Technology, life. Give, 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 and give some more. I think that because Gabe is having such a hard time, I don't want to keep stressing him out, having to come back on and so forth. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to end it. It's an hour and 19 minutes since we started. So I want to thank everybody who's been on here. I want to thank Gabe. And I definitely want to do another one with him when I know that his equipment is working well. And we may just jump on at any time. Maybe I'll jump on in the evening after his live show, and I'll go, okay, let's jump on and let's do one together. So I'm flexible that way. And that's the cool thing about live streaming. You can do it anytime. I can do another one 5 minutes after I end this one. It's there for you. Use live streaming to benefit everyone. Don't only think of yourself. I do this to bring you amazing guests. And I know that Gabe has so much more to share. Do me a favor, follow him. He's on LinkedIn, right? Follow him. Take a look at the description. Follow him. He's an amazing individual. I'm glad I connected with him. And Gabe, my friend, have an amazing rest of your day. And I know things will clear up. And I know that tonight's show is going to be great for you. Everybody, I want to tell you one thing. If you can take one thing away from today's show, is that we need to move forward no matter what happens. As my amazing, great co-host on Heroes Rising, E.A. Solkowitz says, don't just have a great day. Have your best day ever.